Okay, I have a question. What are the biggest red flags in Singaporean men that both of you all go through?
Like what do we see in our clients that way?
Red flags is so Gen Z, like, can you say in a more like professional way? What are some warning signs that you should stay away from certain types of men? Like, what are some of the warning signs? Is it warning signs, red flags?
Luckily, we are not married.
But I think it really depends on like what can you bear with, right? Your tolerance level and your acceptance level. There are some people who both parties are very individualistic and very independent. They're happy if their partner is out most of the time,
Right.
right? And and they spend just one night per week together, and to them that's okay because they all want their me time. And there are some couples who feel that, right, if my partner is not home by 7 p.m. every night, that means he or she is out spending time with somebody else.
There's a mom.
So I guess it's not just red flags, but it really boils down to what you're looking for in a relationship.
It's very commonly, most wives will complain that their husbands have narcissistic personality disorder. And most husbands will complain that the wives have borderline personality disorder.
Oh, that's interesting. So Singaporeans all become psychologists.
Correct.
So,
They all diagnose their spouse.
okay, so do you think it's true? What they diagnose, do you think it's true, or is it they anyhow say?
But based on their experiences and based on what they read, they do match certain behavioral traits.
What are the behavioral traits of a narcissistic person in a
I have to differ.
relationship?
Right, I don't know about, because I don't see narcissistic clients in my room that much. Simply because if somebody is egoistic and think that they are right, they'll never come to me for help.
Right.
Right. So in general, someone who is kind of categorized as narcissistic, they think that they are right, they will make the other person wrong, they will put the other person down, always making sure that they're in a superior position. Right. So things like gaslighting and coercion will happen a lot in such relationships.
And then the borderline one, I know that, like, the Johnny Depp trial and Amber Heard one, like the doctor says she got borderline personality disorder. In other words, it's just 小叮咚.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, simply put it is, we call it psycho bitch in a way as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but in actual medical terms, it's much more complicated than that, right? But you look at the traits, you look like a person who change their minds very easily. From one moment, they are very happy, then they can go into a very angsty stage, right? They are not able to control or manage their temper, and sometimes they are very antisocial as well, right? So those are just traits, but everybody can have those traits from time to time,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Okay, so it doesn't mean that they actually have a disorder.
I think it could also be that the guy is actually purposely making her angry.
Yeah.
So she's very
Triggers. We all have
Right.
triggers.
Right. What is a healthy amount of time for a couple, stay married for 5 years, to have sex?
Okay. It really, really varies
That was
because
literally
the
the question I
the
just
moment
wrote
I
down.
have such a magic number here, right? Everybody will like, oh no, we are under the number, we are over the number.
Say
they
the
cannot
number. I need the chaos.
Okay. As long as you're having sufficient sex that you're kept happy, that is the benchmark.
What is sufficient?
Yeah, what if to my husband
Yeah, what
is
if-
0?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then to me it's like 5. Then how?
Then we talk about sexual incompatibility.
Then how?
Ooh, sexual compatibility.
Right. So then how?
Okay, so it's like, right, you want to eat wanton mee. Your husband will eat fish more noodles. Then how?
Grab.
Then you
Hawker
go eat your
hawker
one, I go
centre.
eat my one.
Okay,
then,
so-
then the rest break down already. They're having sex with other people outside, is it, or like what?
Oh no, then we talk about solo sex.
What masturbation?
Okay, or even assisted masturbation. Right? So the whole idea
That
here
is so insulting. I do not want my husband to be masturbating me and just don't want to shag me. Like, I mean, to the point where you are willing to just sit there and masturbate me. You also don't want to have sex with me. That is like how
Maybe he's not in the
unattractive am
mood. Maybe he's not in the mood.
Like,
and he
it's
wants to please
constant
you.
thing.
And he wants to please you.
the whole idea here is that this is a good example of communication breakdown.
She's saying,
Right.
okay, let me
Right.
get us on the same page. Assuming that the couple maybe has
Different sex drives.
Different sex drives. So what do you do? Like maybe one guy expect 5 times a week, one doesn't. So in the middle, let's say on a Wednesday, what do we do?
No, but she's saying instead of this, like either you masturbate yourself or you masturbate for the other person if you really don't have sex. So let's say I'm with my husband, he really don't have sex. We 3 months I have sex already. And then I say I'm very horny, have needs. Then he's like, okay, I will masturbate you. So what I'm saying is that I feel that is very insulting to the point where you really don't want to have sex with me until like you rather sit down there and do this joyless thing for you.
Yeah, so if it's based on that, it sounds like there's a deeper conversation to be had.
Then how
into
to
the
solve?
underlying reasons. Talk.
And that's where people hire me to talk.
Right.
Yeah.
Then you talk, you suddenly want to have sex, man.
Yes and no. Yes and no. Yes and no. Right.
So what do you do that will
Okay,
make him?
So for
suddenly
example,
wanna-
in this case, I had to explore with the wife, what does actually sex means to her, right? It could mean a form of affirmation, a form of desire. So how is this missing in that 3 months? They must wait for only this event for this to occur, right? And then also to explore with the husband, what exactly makes him feel like, oh, I'm not interested,
Right.
right? What is my hesitancy here? Are there other things that's happening in his life or in the couple relationship that makes sex, unenjoyable, that he wants to avoid it? Or he's not meaning to avoid it. It's just that he's going through a hard patch himself, right? Maybe there's some issues with parents, some issues at work, everything is coming all together and
Or
he's
maybe he's going
already...
through a soft patch.
Right. Yeah.
Great. Nice.
Yeah,
So there you see, when you have that conversation, there's a deeper understanding and appreciation for the other person.
Right. How often is it that you see that this very little sex or no sex thing happen, like this sex death happens in couples?
Well, my line of work, because I see people with such issues, right, is pretty much, half my client base. Right? But of course, it's not fair because I don't have a overall statistics.
Right, but I think it's actually very common.
At
like,
how
even
many?
among friends.
At how many years
Depends.
into the relationship?
Some people have issues right at the start.
Yeah.
Right? There are people who have psychological erectile dysfunction right from the start. When they are in partner stage, they just freeze, they can't have an erection. There are some females with vaginismus, where the entrance to the vagina is so tight that penetration can't happen at all. Right? So there are couples who come to me right at the start of your relationship.
How do you solve these vaginismus?
Vaginismus, right? If you look into the cause of what's triggering it, usually there's associated phobia or stress and anxiety.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You get scared that your vagina will...
Yeah, it's a defense mechanism.
It's just like somebody knock on the door, you shitting there, your asshole. Ugh.
Exactly right.
that.
Yeah, that's how it works. It actually causes a lot of issues in the relationship when that happens, because as we are stressed about a problem, we get more stressed, right? Then the harder it is to work it out. There's also therapy that we do, pelvic floor exercises that we do to help them be aware of the various muscles that's in the pelvic floor.
Do
And
you
they
test your clients before and after? Like now I cannot insert, later I can, therefore I succeeded in curing her.
Yes, of course they will.
You do?
Then I don't test them. They'll tell me that penetration is now possible.
Right.
Right, but of course it goes through a process, and I do work with a physiotherapist as well. Okay, so that they can be more aware of their pelvic floor muscles.
How many percent of women have this like vaginismus thing?
Well, statistics in the international world, internationally shows anything between 5 to 10%, or
Wow,
even
so high?
20% in some of the countries.
Wow.
So if it's not dealt with, it becomes grounds for annulment.
Oh.
Because it becomes a
Imagine you go and tell
medical...
the judge, my wife too tight, cannot put in.
Yeah, it becomes a medical inability to consummate the marriage.
Right.
Oh, so no wonder people can sue someone for not wanting to have sex.
I mean, yeah. Technically lah.
I see it in other countries, not here.
Here it is one of the grounds as well.
For annulment.
So for annulment, the inability to consummate, but not wanting to have sex, that could fall under unreasonable behavior.
Oh, so once you are married, you are legally expected to.
You are not, but it's like, for example, if you really like fried chicken, and your husband then for 10 years refuses to eat fried chicken with you. It's not about the fried chicken, but it's about how he values your opinions.
Correct.
The stress more or less comes in with children. Children actually decrease the sexual frequencies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a bit sad.
what would be your advice to couples with children
Yeah.
To
to
look
spice up the relationship?
at, to stop seeing each, because one of the things that once couples have children, they start to call each other mommy and daddies.
Right. Then it's
Like-
not sexual anymore, is it?
Yeah. So they have moved from a lover relationship to a family parent relationship. Right? And it reduces the sexiness among them. So we have to kind of rebuild that passion, rebuild the flirting, right? Rebuild their body. So for women, when we have children, it can be very stressful for the bodies. And at some point in time, especially we are doing full-time breastfeeding or even pumping, we feel that our bodies are no longer ours. Right? So it's also about regaining that, oh, this body is actually mine. And I feel sexy in this, even though I put on weight, my breast is more saggy, etc., etc. So how to reclaim that this body is ours and still feel sexy about it, which is very important.
I feel sexy if my husband want me lah.
Exactly. So how do you feel you're sexy even whether your husband wants you or don't want you, you see?
Then I have to go outside and affirm it already. What? If not, how? Start OnlyFans, man. Got a lot of subscribers. Like, okay, I'm sexy.
Nah, it's the internal affirmation that you're looking for.
Right.
So you would recommend that couples don't refer to each other as mommy or daddy?
Yeah, I'll prefer that. Because it can quite confuse the roles in the family.
So should I tell my wife to stop calling me daddy?
Unless she says it in a sexy way.
Yeah, that's the...
Yeah, that's a different thing, right?
No lah, I think as long as your sex life is healthy, then you don't need to go by all these things lah. I feel like it's fine. But I think that like this...
It's the small things that build up that...
Right. Don't worry, I think you are
later.
doing okay. Yeah.
I hope I am. I have an important question that I would like to finally get a medical answer to. Because we've seen a lot of different answers online and with other people. Does size matter?
There's a range that somehow still matters and a range that doesn't matter. All right.
Okay.
All right. So typically for Asians, you're looking at about 5 inches thereabouts. Okay.
That's the range that does matter.
Right. So if you're kind of within that range 4 to 6-ish, is quite decent. Your partner will still kind of feel you during penetration, right? But you're looking at people with micro penises. Are looking at 1 inch and below, then it's really hard for your partner to feel anything. Okay. But of course,
unless they have the vagina miss. But I think the issue is that at the start, sex is always very passionate,
very
it's
intense,
frequent,
right?
yes, it's intense, and then after that it dies, right? So it makes the person who is initiating but not getting it feel like, are you desiring me less? Is it going to become worse? Is this what it's going to be for the rest of my life? Like, are you attracted to other people outside? Because if you are not getting orgasms from me, where you're getting it from, things like that lah. So yeah.
So we talk about it openly on the table to look at what's really happening. So it might be an insecurity issue, or it just really going to be a mismatch in sex drive at the end of the day, or just because the male partner is struggling with something that needs to be worked through. So until we can find out what's the root cause of everything, we cannot decide that just because based on the frequency, the relationship has broken down.
Right. What's a healthy number of times to have sex in a month for a married couple?
It can range anything from 0 to 10, you see? It doesn't matter. So the whole thing here is once an expert give a number, everybody's going to harp on the number and feeling upset over the number. Okay. But what you want in a relationship is understanding, is love, is respect, is communication. It's not about, whether you have passed the test or not passed the test, right?
Okay, but what is the average number then?
I don't know. I mean, statistics have shown that in Singapore, you're looking at any time from once a week or even lesser than that. Because we are the countries with one of the lower sexual drives per se.
Oh, really?
There's no one size fits all.
Right. Okay. I still need to ask though, help us Singaporean girls, like how do we win all these slutty girls out there? Like how? Teach us.
Okay, in the couple that I see, I don't think they're losing out to these girls, the bunch of girls that you're referring to. Right? It's more like, why do people want to get into the relationship? If they don't know what they're in it for and what they can bring to the relationship versus what I can receive from the relationship, then we have a problem. Because if you're entering a relationship in order to receive, right, then the relationship is bound to crumble eventually.
Who goes in a relationship just to give?
Give, right? And not expecting... love comes most beautifully when it has less conditions. The more conditions you tag to it, the more it becomes overly conditional and demanding. Right?
Okay, I guess when a parent gives birth to a child, it's like, you go into a relationship to give.
And actually, if you think about the marriage vows, it's unconditional. It doesn't say, I will love and honor you if you love and honor me. or I will love and honor you if I also feel love and honor.
Maybe it's just too long and clunky to say in a vow.
I think it's deliberately not there.
Right. So how to win the girls? Haven't answered me. How
But
to
I
be
think
the
it
perfect
comes down
girl?
to expectations. If you're gonna we are gonna generalize.
Yes, please,
I
just
feel that a lot
generalize.
of people feel burdened when the other party has very high expectations or what they feel are high expectations, and then whatever I do is never good enough for you. So if, in contrast, when they experience time with somebody who's just happy with anything, then it's very relaxing time for them.
Oh. But isn't it very bad for me if that like cycle goes on and then like I just don't get anything? Because he just thinks you don't want anything.
Maybe by lowering your expectations, you might unknowingly receive.
And be easier to please.
Right. Okay, so in other words, just be a submissive, meek girl who wants
to be
nothing and the guy will go crazy over you, yes?
Oh, that's
And prostate
stereotype.
mustache.
I mean, not all
values.
guys wants it, right?
Yeah,
Values and goals
I
need
guess
to
when you
align.
say like how do you beat these girls, right? You also have to like identify like the type of men that you're aiming for, because I mean they could differentiate,
Right.
right? Like if you
That's true, that's true, that's
yeah,
true.
you can aim for a simp, or you can aim for like some billionaire who just has a lot of money. I think there's a lot of different types of men who have different preferences. Yeah, and different feelings about this kind of girls.
Okay.